Today I'm going to show you how to build a simple general mob farm. This farm will get you lots of bones, gunpowder, arrows, and more, as well as XP to mend your tools to enchant with. I will show you how to build it with or without the Trident killer, and be sure to stay till the end for some final important tips. Let's dive in. As far as your materials go, right here is going to be everything we use for solid blocks. You can use any kind of solid blocks for any of these is going to be perfectly fine. You do not want blocks that can be seen through, such as glass, to go anywhere really. We also used this much scaffolding. This is doing 6 layers of the mob farm. And then here is everything else that we used, including what we used to make the Trident killer if you're going to go the Trident killer route. Okay, so the first thing is the location of your general mob farm. This general mob farm could go pretty much anywhere you want it to go, as long as you follow a couple of very simple rules. If you're playing on simulation distance 4, which is going to be most of you because simulation distance 4 is the default. If you don't know what simulation distance you play on, 99% chance it's simulation distance 4. You're going to want to make sure you build this at least 44 blocks in the air. Just to be safe, we're going to go ahead and call that 64 blocks. So you're going to build it 64 blocks up in the air. If you are on a simulation distance higher than 4, I recommend you put this at least 129 blocks in the air. And that's from wherever you are standing on the ground below. Also, do not put it close to the sides of mountains like this right here, because you need to be at least 64 blocks or 128 blocks from anything that you're building. So even though you may be, say, 44 blocks up in the air from right here, you're more than 44 blocks close to this, so that would not be good. So make sure you're at least 44 blocks or 128 blocks from any other type of area. It could be over land, it could be over water. That part doesn't really matter. I'm going to go ahead and pick a random location right now. Okay, so we have ourselves a spot here. We're at Y level 70. So we're going to go up 44 blocks from this point. So where you see the 70 in the top left-hand corner of the screen right now, that plus 44 would equal 114. Now at this spot at 114, we're actually going to make this where our storage is going to go, because we would still like some of the layers of our farm that'll be above our head to potentially still work while we're at our storage and to not have to worry about spawning mobs down below. Again, remember, anything I'm talking about here, if you play on simulation distance above 4, make sure you're doing plus 128, not plus 44 like we did here. So we're just going to make ourselves a platform. This could be as big as you think you're going to want your storage area to be. We're going to go 9 blocks out in each direction. And just so I can keep track of what my center point is, because that'll matter a little bit later, we'll get, some type of special color block just so we can keep track of that. Okay, so next from your platform where the storage is going to go, maybe go up about 7 blocks from here. So we're at Y114 now, so let's go up to Y121. And once here, we're going to make a platform about 7 in each direction, just to give ourselves a little bit of working room around. Okay, so we have our platform. This is where we're going to stand when we're farming the mobs. So we need to know a couple of different things. I want to show you something real quick. This right here is an add-on I have that shows a spawning sphere. For whatever spot you're standing in, mobs must spawn at least 25 blocks away from the player. And when it's simulation distance 4, like we've been talking about mostly here, they can only spawn up to 44 blocks away from you. So if I back myself up here, as you can sort of see, the green there being the 25 blocks, no mobs will spawn inside of this. They will only spawn outside of this, and they can only spawn up to this red area. So everywhere between green and red is what we have to work with. So knowing that, we're going to make sure we place our farm within that zone. So we're going to end up needing to filter our mobs down. So we're actually going to start out by going not 25 blocks up, but 22 blocks up. So we're at Y level 121 now. That plus 22 is going to be 143. Math in my head? Yeah. So we're going to go up to 143. Now, once we're at 143, we're going to make a 5x5 platform. And we're going to wall up around it 3 additional blocks. You'll remember our original spot where we were standing was Y level 121. So that plus 25 is 146. So we went up to 3 blocks. Now we're at 146 right now. And this is going to be our first spawning platform level right here. We don't need to do anything with it quite yet. I would just kind of leave this box in, because first we need to actually have a way for our mobs to filter down and come out. So while inside your little box here, go ahead and pick a side and knock out all the blocks on the floor right there. Now you're going to probably have to go down a little bit below this and create yourself a little area to stand, because what we're going to do is we're going to drop the mobs that are right here down by 3 blocks. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and we're going to just create a little chamber right here where they're dropping down 3 blocks. And there's going to be a little floor right here at the bottom, just like this. And we're going to put 2 holes in that floor where the mobs are going to be able to drop down. So now we're going to have a way to filter out the spiders that are going to be dropping in here, because spiders are a big pain in the butt, and you have to have a good way to get rid of them. Otherwise, they're going to slow down your farm. So take out this little bottom row right here and put yourself a row of magma blocks right there, just like that. Coming over to the other side here, just go ahead and frame in these magma blocks around the back side, leaving a 1 block gap for our drops from the spiders to fall into. I'm going to show you exactly how this works so you understand. First, go ahead and fill in around it. What's going to happen is water is going to start right here. It's going to flow this way, drop down, and come out right under here like this. So you should kind of see we have a bar here of magma blocks. And then what we're going to do is we're going to block the water from coming this way, right? So what we want to do is put some fence gates, or you can use signs as well, are perfectly fine. Open fence gates or signs. Put a row right here, and also put a row right here. Now, what'll happen is if we could put water right here, 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 and there, spiders at this point are going to be able to flow over here. And to create that flow, we're going to put water right here. So let me actually show you what happens when a spider comes in here. Let's go ahead. We actually got to put a little like roof over this. Now when a spider drops in, it's going to flow over. It can't fit down there because it's too big. It just goes over here and it gets stuck because it's being pushed into this area, and then it's just going to die from the magma cubes. So even having a few spiders spawn in here is going to be fine. They're not going to get stuck. They're actually going to just push themselves in. They're going to die from the lava. And then what'll happen is their string that they drop, it'll drop down into here because the water's flowing it that way, and it'll eventually wash its way out. As you can see there, it's a little slow to move, but that way you get the string as well. Lastly, all of our other mobs that are here, zombies, skeletons, creepers, they're going to just kind of fall over the edge here. They're going to drop down here. So we do need them to be able to get pushed in and fall here. I'm going to put on this short side where I only have 1 block, I'm going to put a fence gate there and open it. And then I'm going to put a fence gate up here and open it. You'll see that when I put the water down here and here, the water flows over 2 blocks, 1, 2. Water flows over 2 blocks, 1, 2. And then there's a little like 2 block gap. Just one of those blocks happens to be open. But what you'll see happen here is if I have, say, a creeper come over here, he's going to flow down. He's going to drop right there, flow over, and go down. Same thing happens over here. And even if I have 2, just like this, they're not going to get stuck on each other. They're going to push each other down. Just like that. And from here, we just need to box this thing in, and we need to make ourselves a little drop chamber that just drops all these guys straight down to an area where we can kill them. And I have 2 different ways for you to kill them, so I want to make sure I show you guys both, because I've had a lot of people make this request. If you're enjoying today's video, help it get discovered by more people by clicking the like button and leaving a comment. Also, if you enjoy my videos, click the subscribe button, join my Discord channel, and become a channel member by clicking the join button. Members get awesome perks, including access to my members-only Minecraft servers. Now, back to the video. Okay, so once you get it all the way down to this level, you kind of have your 2 spots here where the mobs are going to be falling down. What we could do is set a double chest right here like this and run 2 hoppers into the side of it. These mobs are going to fall down on those hoppers, okay? We're going to put blocks here, 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 and here. And then we're going to put a half slab there. If you want to, even put a half slab here. And you're probably going to need more than just 1 chest of storage, right? So what you could do is you could just pop in a few more, run a little line of hoppers down. And if you wanted to only have to melee kill them, meaning you just smack them with the sword and they die, this setup right here is exactly what you need. Get yourself a sword out. When they die, they will be a 1-hit kill from a diamond or higher sword. And you can get all of your drops really easy. You can use looting, you can use mending, and all those different things to get yourself a lot of drops without having to build any kind of extra redstone bits. And you'll follow the rest of this tutorial the same way, either way, in terms of making the farm. If you want to make a Trident killer here, odds are you probably know how to make one, but if not, let me show you how. Okay, so for the Trident killer version, we got ourselves back to this. Let's go ahead and just kind of like look where we are, right? We know that our mobs are going to land there, and we're going to put 2 more blocks behind that because we're going to make the easiest form of Trident killer, which is just a standard 2x2 drop pad, right? So we're going to put those right there. We're going to surround this with blocks for now, and then we just need ourselves a little bit of room to work, so let's take out that layer right there. Okay, so we know we're standing here, so we're going to put our first piston here. That means our pistons always go on the right, so that's on the right, the right, the right, and the right. We're going to knock out these extra blocks for now, just like that, so the only blocks are underneath the pistons there. We're going to take an observer and just kind of like place it just past the piston, so that way its face is looking away from the piston and the block underneath it. Now we need something for those observers to look at. So we're going to go ahead and place down a powered rail, 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 and rail. Now the Trident killer is turned on. So to turn it on and off, we just put a lever right here. Like that. Now we can just take regular blocks, kind of filling around this thing just like this, and then cover the rest of it up. And then if you want to make sure that no mobs can glitch through because they get touched or pushed by a piston, just go ahead and kind of fill things in all the way around there, including the corners right there around the Trident killer level. Put yourself a full block here, put yourself a half slab right there. And then now you'll stand here, all the XP will come out to you. If you go down underneath where you have the floor, that's why we made it out of different color blocks, so we can kind of go underneath and tell. What we're going to do is we're going to place a hopper. Anywhere underneath this is fine. We'll have one maybe like face that direction, I think. On top of that hopper, we're going to put a rail of any type, and we're going to put a hopper minecart. You can remove this rail, and then you can block this thing the rest of the way in. That way it can't move, get touched, or anything happen to it. This is going to be your output to go to your storage system, which you could do any type of storage system is fine. If I were to show you guys something really simple real quick, I would just add a block right there. I would face some hoppers coming out this way like this. I would then put some temporary blocks in front of those hoppers, place hoppers facing forward, and then put double chests in front of all of them just like this. Face hoppers into the back of each one. And now I have myself a large storage system. Now, this is just a simple storage system. It has no sorting capabilities at all. If you're going to spend a lot of time here, you're probably going to want to build one that has an item sorter, one that takes out non-stackable items like swords and armor pieces and things of that nature, bows, etc., and maybe even some type of overflow protection. So we're not going to go over those things here today. I would check out individual videos on storage systems to find those bits, but that would be my recommendation. Now we could throw our tridents in here. I would put 2 or 3 in just to kill mobs a little bit faster. And remember, these tridents will not break, so you do not need to worry about their durability. Once they're placed, you're good to go. If somebody else is going to come use the farm, say you play this world with a family member, a friend, or whatever, then they may need to get in there to replace the tridents to continue to use this farm. So just kind of keep that in mind, that they may need to be able to get in there to get those tridents out. And lastly, you can see if we turn this on, it is functioning 100% perfectly as a trident killer. Okay, so now for the spawning floors. And I've engineered this farm to specifically maximize how quickly we move the mobs out of the area and making sure mobs seldomly get stuck. So we're back on top of our 5x5 area. We're gonna wanna go out 7 blocks in each direction, counting the block that we're standing on. So this is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And do that in each direction. Once you've done that, go ahead and just connect all the sides together and fill in the platform. Okay, once you've filled in the platform, go ahead and put a little 2x2 section in each corner. And then build yourself a border going all the way around, just kind of blocking up the sides. And then go ahead and make this whole area 2 blocks tall. Once you've done that, get yourself some scaffolding and cover the entire floor with scaffolding. If you're asking, why am I covering the floor with scaffolding? It's because mobs can spawn inside of the scaffolding, and we're going to use this to flow the mobs. This is something that I learned from, I don't remember, somebody years ago. And I've done a number of designs like this, and still to this day, it is the best method for quickly flushing and getting rid of mobs that I know of. Now, once you've done that, this little like 5x5 inner hole area, you're going to want to line that with scaffolding. So the little hole area is a 3x3. So basically you're just bringing like 1 row of scaffolding over on each edge, just like this. So you see the scaffolding overhangs on each edge. And then finally, take yourself a water bucket and then go along the outside wall of each side and just put water sources all the way down. You can use a water bucket, or you can use like regular ice and break the ice with a non-silk touch tool. It'll do the same thing. And what you should end up with is this, where all the water, as you can see, flows to the center. It makes it to the edge, and there are no dead zones anywhere. Now, why do we do this? Because without having floor right here, what'll happen is you won't have mobs that actually like get stuck on the edge, which happens typically in farms like this. And it's one of the reasons why I designed mine a little bit different, right? So if I'm a mob and I'm coming to the edge, I'm going to drop down right here. There's no fighting it. You're going down, and then they will flush their way in here. So this is how we make one floor. So kind of now what we're going to do is we're going to repeat the process, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go up one more level, just like this. And the reason I'm doing this is I just want to show you guys the floor of this level, which is also the ceiling of this level. I figure visual aid would be good for you guys. So we go up one more level. This is our new floor level. So we can go ahead, place down all the blocks that are going to be our new floor, making sure we leave this little 5x5 hole in the middle, right? So if I can kind of just trace around that now, just because I know where it is. This is the 5x5 hole in the middle, and then eventually our scaffolding will get back over the edge. So now we're kind of back to where we started, just on floor number 2. So as you can see, there's a 2-block gap here where mobs that are 2 blocks tall can spawn, which is pretty much everything except for the Enderman, right? And I'm going to point out a couple things that I know a lot of you guys are going to mention, and you're right about, but it's not as big of a deal as you think. Baby zombies can spawn in here and walk around. Spiders can spawn in here and walk around. Now, one of two things usually happens, especially with the spiders. They end up climbing up because they like to climb, right? So the spiders, after a very short period of time, they're going to work their way up here, and then they're going to get flowed down. The baby zombies, they're either going to work their way over and fall down as well, or they're also going to climb and flow over too. If you want to help the process of maybe making them accidentally fall down, you can even do something like take some buttons, which on Bedrock Edition mobs do see buttons as a full block, and just kind of like outline this area right underneath all of these scaffolding. And then the baby zombies and the spiders both will kind of more freely think that they can walk over the edge, and they'll fall down on their own. It's not that big of a deal. And there's also a despawn timer, right? So the mobs that spawn in, like the baby zombies and the spiders, if for some reason they don't make their way over here quick enough, they're just going to despawn anyways. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. It's a very slight inefficiency that's made up by the fact that all the mobs that are spawning that are the normal mobs are getting pushed in here constantly. Again, now that we have this area here, go ahead, outline it again, and do your next floor 5 more times. Okay, so we now have 6 layers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And as you can see, we used all solid blocks all the way around. You have to do that because you cannot let any light into here. Oh wow, we got mobs spawning in already. That's crazy. So the next thing we need to do is we need to Enderman proof this thing, okay? So first of all, let's add one more layer on top of this to kind of work off of. And one way I've kind of messed this up in the past myself personally is I would just take what we're about to do here in a moment, tinted glass, and just put it in here and call it a day. But the problem is that on this top layer, if you do that, Endermen can spawn here because they will spawn with their heads inside of that tinted glass. And then since they're also spawning in water, they'll instantly teleport. And that causes a big issue because glass is a transparent block. So instead what we're going to do is we're going to take a half slab and we're going to put it at the bottom layer. So this is going to be a bottom half slab, and we're going to fill in all of this here. This is going to make it so one of two things happen. Thing number one, Enderman can't spawn because they won't spawn with their head inside of this half slab block. Thing number two is it will still make this farm consider itself, this top layer, as a surface spawn layer. That's important. We want it to be a surface spawn layer because if it's not, then we're going to slow down our farm a little bit. We don't need to cover this area right here where we have the hole there. So especially if you want to be able to like go up top and kind of look down and check things out, I would just advise to not fill in that whole area. Then once you've done that, take yourself tinted glass and then cover that up because light can still actually go through these slabs. Even though it's covered on Bedrock Edition, light does go through half slabs. So putting the tinted glass here will still ensure that our top layer of the farm is a surface spawn and not a cave spawn, as well as it will cover things over and make things dark. So we're kind of getting the best of both worlds. We're having our cake and eating it too by using the tinted glass here. And just for decoration's sake, we'll go ahead and we'll border this with one more layer of solid blocks just to kind of make things look nice and flat on top. And bam, this farm in terms of being built is done, and you can see mobs spawning in down there. You can see the spiders are working their way down. They do kind of temporarily catch themselves on each layer on the way down, and because of how we've designed this thing, they do end up working their way down pretty quickly as they continue to get pushed, and then they make their way over to the area where they get pushed onto the magma blocks, which is kind of what you were seeing there, and dying. So now, if we go down to the bottom here, first you'll see if we take ourselves a diamond sword, doesn't even have to have enchantments on it. Everything is a one-hit kill, but maybe even more importantly, we want to make sure we have looting 3 on our diamond sword because even though the tridents are doing the killing here, since we threw the tridents, it's counting as a player kill coming from us. and the looting effect applies. So I can turn this thing on right here. You can hear this going round and round and round it goes. And with all the mobs dying, all of our drops, they're getting collected by the hopper minecart down below. And we have a fully functional farm. Now, one more thing here. If you try to AFK here for a long period of time, you may end up finding that you die. So you're gonna need to do a couple of different things, right? First of all, I recommend make yourself a little like cubby. Put yourself a chest here and then face a hopper into that chest right there. Like so, and then maybe even go a little bit further by doing this. Give yourself some kind of light in there, and then whenever you come AFK in here, block yourself in. So first of all, if you do die, your items, they're just going to fall in here and go into the chest. But number two, to actually keep yourself from dying in the first place, you're going to want to set up a beacon down below. Setting up a beacon here and putting in resistance and regeneration will make sure that you don't die while you AFK at this farm. The reason that you can die at this farm is because some of the mobs that spawn up here will spawn with armor. And sometimes that armor has thorns on it. Thorns is an enchantment that will damage you whenever you hit the mob. In this case, your trident hitting the mob. So, to prevent yourself from dying, having the regeneration effect will make it to where eventually, when your health gets worn down from being beat by the mob so much, it's not going to kill you because you're going to be able to regenerate faster. It is still, though, always the best practice to take off all of your armor that you may have equipped, throw it in the chest right here, and sit here only with your looting sword blocked in. So if you do die for some freak reason, that your sword will fall in here and you're good to go. But again, with the regeneration beacon, should not be a problem. If you enjoyed today's tutorial, be sure to show the channel a little bit of love. Click the subscribe button, like this video, and drop a comment down below. If you want to get a download of this world, it is listed in the description below. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time.